So what do you want? You don't know who the fuck I am!
What are you doing? Get that gun away from me, psycho! No!
Well, hello friends, and welcome to this six-part countdown to Game of the Year here for GRTV. We're doing six separate videos in this upcoming 6 days.
Yeah.
Starting with 6th place for Game of the Year. Now, 2015 has been a huge year in quality games coming out.
Yeah, it's been a bunch. It's been difficult to choose.
Yeah, it's been very hard to crunch down this list, but we're starting in 6th place, and we're going to be talking about Life is Strange.
Yeah.
And to help us with that, we have Ricardo, editor-in-chief of Gamereactor Portugal, and Bengt, editor in Gamereactor UK, joining us through Skype. And we're going to talk about this game from Dontnod Entertainment, released by Square Enix, an episodic point-and-click adventure at the base.
Yeah, in the spirit of Telltale, who sort of reinvigorated that type of formula with The Walking Dead and going forward with a deluge of different projects they have in store over there. So of course, Dontnod made Remember Me and sort of dialed it back and made this little smaller episodic little game here who seems to have been a runaway success for them.
Yeah, this is comparing it to the opposition in Telltale. This is a bit more like real life centric. The art style, everything is hand painted and looks beautiful.
Yes,
I did have some issues with like the lip sync, but it's like small issues that kind of fade away. But let's throw it out to our panel. Yeah. Why does Life is Strange deserve to be on our list of the top 6 games of 2015?
Bengt, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah. So I mean, as is the case, I think it's for me maybe the most. I mean, that's a hard thing to say, but it the plot here, the narrative here had some impact, I feel, and I think what really sort of attracted me to it is that it feels different, right? This is something that is very difficult to approach because it's sort of, fantasy, science fiction. It's kind of like we can't compare that to real life, but this is something that is very close to everyone. We know how teenagers talk. We know how all these things are. Everything that's out of place and strange, we'll pick up on. So there's no great mystery why there aren't a lot of games that are sort of set up in this sort of everyday scenario. It's difficult because it's hard to sort of create that sort of sense because there's the uncanny valley sort of situation, and I would say that Life is Strange perhaps struggled with that in some cases, particularly with the dialogue. But for me, it's about it really comes together in these 5 episodes and really sort of speaks to me and had some really meaningful stuff. This is a game about friendship, I'd say, coming of age and friendship, and it's really beautifully put together. And I think that this is something that we seldom talk about sort of national traits for video games, but I think French video games sort of often have something that is a little bit different to them. And I think this one is just yet another one of those games that probably wouldn't have gotten made in another country. Even though it's set in America, it's still sort of, this is something that they sort of bring to the table, and I think that's wonderful, and it's something different, and I really enjoyed playing it this year.
Yeah, Ricardo?
Yeah, like Bengt said, I love the story. It was emotional. It was kind of hard for me in the first step. I played all episodes in a row. I only play this kind of games like this, and the first one was kind of hard to get going. By the end of the second one, I was interested. By the end of the third one, I was completely hooked and had to immediately start playing the next one. It's that kind of game. I also unlike the Telltale games, that this one has a little bit more gameplay to it, because you can investigate areas to take photos, there are a lot of you can get a lot of extra context, like investigating other people's rooms or computers or texts. You can get a lot of context on the characters and what's in that city, what's going on. So I kind of like that. The Telltale games are more and more story focused, and it's basically an interactive narrative. This one lets you play a little bit more. I like that.
It feels like there's more story to the sides here. There's more to explore to the sides, and I really like the fact that the achievements and stuff are all sort of optional. So there's no, well, I mean, you get one for completing a chapter, but
the
other
rest
than
you
that,
get for taking the optional photos.
Exactly.
Doing the photos and
the
that
collectibles.
Yeah.
I mean, what really struck me with this game is they introduced this time traveling mechanic where you can kind of, move time back, and it helps with dialogue situations where you go through a dialogue, you get information, you go back, and then you have a new dialogue option to go through. It also, when you have, because it's you have all these decisions to make, and they all have cascading effects going forward, both in the chapter and in the chapters to come.
Yeah.
But so when you are actually playing through it, you can actually, it's turning save scumming that you do in Telltale games into a feature within the game, which I love, because you go through each of the choices and you can see, okay, what's the result here, and then you choose the one that you like, and then
the short-term result.
in the short term, and then you go into the next area, and then you can't go, that far back in time.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like you have more of a choice in the consequences, but then 2 chapters from there, shit goes crazy because you chose something and it interacts in a way that you didn't foresee, but it still feels like, okay, but it was still my choice to go there without having to, reload a checkpoint or something.
It just feels like that compared, also I think that's one of the main things we need to compliment Life is Strange for, is that while it may at some point, I think, break the illusion of getting a point of a very detailed perspective of a teenage girl's life. I also think the comparison to Telltale is very much apparent, and it's very much a direct comparison you can make, because that's the experiences that are out there. It's Telltale's formula. At least they have put their name on that formula in recent years. And with them doing Borderlands stuff and The Walking Dead and now Batman and Marvel and all these things,
Minecraft,
and Minecraft story mode, these more and more out there concepts that they're pushing into this formula. It's so nice. I know there is supernatural aspects and stuff, but it's really nice to see that someone can take this formula and create something a bit more close to home, a bit more, I wouldn't say realistic, but it's just a very interesting perspective.
Yeah, and through the art style, through the music, through the aesthetic style, you just get immersed. In this story. I mean, some of the characters.
The music needs to be mentioned. It's just a beautifully selected
beautiful music.
soundtrack.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, some of the characters I didn't maybe quite connect with.
No.
But that's kind of true for anything that I play or watch. There's always somebody.
It's so rare that every character connects.
Their connections always work.
Yeah.
For me. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I mean, this is sort of like a Twin Peaks-esque town.
Yeah.
So everyone sort of has these weird connections, and you can sort of make an argument for why pretty much everyone in this game, it's okay if they die. Possibly except for Max and Chloe. But even Chloe is she's done some bad stuff as well. So, but I mean that all ties in. I mean, the beautiful thing in it, and Ricardo, you played it till the end, so you know that the way it's all connects at the end, even those points in the first few episodes that maybe felt a little bit boring, they sort of all have meaning at the end. And I think they've done a great job of doing that, because I felt like in the beginning maybe there's some fat here, maybe they could trim away some of this, but it all makes sense and all has a lot of meaning towards the end. And there's it's funny because the murder story is kind of secondary to what's going on. I mean, it's central and it's not. Same with the mechanic, the time rewind. It's central, it's tied to everything that happens, but it's also like not that important. So because of like, I mean, it is important, but it's not. It's not important for the actual story. I think it's just sort of a narrative device for most part.
It's cool actually that we can sit here and talk about Life is Strange as like it's a first outing, like an episodic outing for developer Dontnod. And but also remember that Telltale had to get it wrong a lot of times before The Walking Dead came around and their role began. We remember stuff like, Back to the Future, and especially what I remember is the Jurassic Park game, which was horrible. So like, so remember like get like seeing Life is Strange as like a base point for them to go further and further in. Maybe Life is Strange like season 2 or whatever they have coming up next. I'm sure they will be doing more episodic things. It's a great thing for us, like a starting experience. I think they have to be really complimented of getting so much right that Telltale for a long time got wrong.
Yeah,
and it is a very different theme.
Yeah.
I think we can't really compare it to anything else in that sense. Maybe there's more to be done here, but I think that the main thing here is just the theme of the game and how the story unfolds. That's really the main thing. Of course, Dontnod, they're working on Vampire now.
That's true. Yeah,
an RPG. I think that the team that did Life is Strange is probably not the entire studio, so there's every reason to believe that they could have a second season in the works. I hope that they pick something entirely different, because of course Life is Strange could sort of apply to any sort of situation. So doesn't have to have the time traveling aspect, doesn't have to have two girls as the main characters. It could be completely different, and I would love to see them tackle something completely different as well.
Just to like I said before, I was remembering one of the little side. There are a lot of side stuff you can approach, and even decisions you can make. For example, I'm gonna give you a little tiny spoiler of something very small that happened. One of the things you can do in Max's room is to water the flower, and eventually Max's mother sends an email saying, "Don't water the flower too much or it will die." I didn't pay attention and it died because of my actions. There are a lot of little side stuff.
You drowned her flowers.
Can do. I think that's pretty great. And that separates Life is Strange from Telltale, that it's very main narrative focused.
But we're applauding them for adding more gameplay, right? Yeah. That's what, back to Ricardo's point, that one of the things that people often criticize Telltale for is that the game has gone further and further into the background of just being interactive, like novelization, whereas Life is Strange very much has puzzles and very much has side stuff that you can go out and do. I think that's something that needs to be applauded, that you can have these narrative focused experiences where there's gameplay, and whereas Bengt says there's stuff to the sides, it's always like a circular experience where you could go here or you could go here, but you still have the focused great storyline like front and center.
Now I wanted to give an example like Ricardo did. It's a little bit more of a spoiler perhaps, but there's this girl that you can save in different episodes, from getting a ball in her head or getting thrown into the pool, and there's a really funny payoff in the final episode with that, because if you help her, she may not think that you're such a guardian angel sort of thing, and she may be a little bit scared of you, because every time you're around, something bad happens. That's a really funny thing. And they also one of the criticism that the game got was for Chloe's dialogue. She says hella a lot, and there's actually like a really funny Easter egg sort of thing later on in one of the episodes where they sort of address that in a sort of alternate reality in a real funny way as well. So there's a lot of little things there that if you dig deep into the story, if you go to the side, you will get a lot more out of the experience.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys agree. I loved Max, but I think Chloe really stole the show for me. When Max was not with Chloe, it's like, oh, come on, let's go along so we can go back to Chloe.
Yeah, I think Max is
what
the sort of
matters.
the normal kid that you can apply yourself to. That's sort of like, yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas
I think
Chloe has a bit more personality.
Yeah, I think Chloe's dialogue is masterful. The way that she always refers to her stepdad indifferently, like step dildo, or she calls him Sergeant Pepper at one point, which is fucking hilarious. But yeah, we need to wrap this up real quickly. Let's go over why Dontnod's Entertainment Life is Strange deserves to be the 6th best game of 2015 according to GRTV.
Well, I think it should be nominated because in a gaming landscape where it's very much that there are fundamentals to build upon, I think that even though it is the episodic formula that we've come to know, it does feel unique to experience. I can't think of anything that closely resembles it, apart from the little, like the thing that you do get the feeling of Twin Peaks when you play it, I think, and I've watched that series like hundreds of times. So.
Yeah, I think the way that they've absolutely nailed every aspect of what other companies have been trying to do with this kind of, interactive point and click with decisions that cascade into repercussions later on. Everything felt tight and worked, and I loved the story. Most of the characters were phenomenal. The atmosphere, the look, just everything really clicked in this game.
Yeah.
So
basically the same for me. A great story. Loved the relationship between Max and Chloe. Great acting as well. And loved all the little details that really make the world even richer and make you more involved in the story and the world. Great game.
Yeah. I think it's the tear factor for me. I was tearing up at the end, so that says something about the quality of it. Of course, I've done that with Walking Dead in the past as well, but I felt like this is, in terms of this sort of episodic narrative game, this is the best one that's out this year, and they did a lot of things right, and I think a lot of memorable characters, and just the being brave enough to broach this subject, I think is reason enough to have them here.
yeah, there you have it, guys. The 6th best game of 2015 is Life is Strange. Make sure to tune in tomorrow where we reveal game number 5 on the list. Until then, see you later.
Bang! What the hell? Come on, Slowpoke!
If I see you here again, you'll learn all about real trouble.
So, what would you do now?